Kara, thank you so much for joining us today to have a chat. It's great to see you.
You too.
So you've been on Instagram a long while. I follow your account avidly. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how it all started?
Yeah, so let's see. So my husband actually got into kind of the social networking aspect of board games first, and he wanted to start a YouTube channel. And I'm a little more reserved than he is, so I thought, oh, well, I can just do Instagram and I'll just take some pictures, like this is the game I played and this is how I like it. And so I started doing that. And after a little while, it started to gain some momentum, and people seemed to like my thoughts. And I had a lot of fun just kind of sharing new games with people and having people ask me for recommendations and then going out and acting on those. And I just thought it was so fun. And so it's just been a really great hobby and great place for me to talk about my hobby. So
do you have any competition with your husband about who's getting the most traction on your social channels?
No. I think he's got almost 1,500 followers, and we've been doing it for the same amount of time. But he's not as consistent as I am, which is why he's a lot busier with his work and his school, and so he just can't keep up with making posts frequently. So but he does try sometimes, so it's fun.
So what you're saying is there's no contest. You're just so much, no way he could keep up.
No, but he's not upset about it. He's really excited for me, and yeah, so it's good.
Ooh. So in your gaming group, I guess you're the person that everyone comes to and says, so what are we going to play this weekend? What new games are hot right now? Is that how it works for you?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
What sort of games are you recommending right now? What are the big ones that you've enjoyed recently?
Oh, recently. Well, most of the people that I play with are they're new, so I'll recommend like gateway games. And then right at the time that they start getting to where they can handle heavy games, they move every time. So we're just constantly training new people. So one that we really like right now that's new is and you've seen me post about it, I'm sure, is Tiny Epic Galaxies Blast Off. It's just cute and fun, and it's super easy to learn, so I've been recommending that one a lot. We really like it.
Yeah, I love what those guys are doing with all of their series of the Tiny Epic ones and the Ultra Tinies as well. Have you seen any of those?
I have seen them, but I haven't seen it in person. It looks adorable though. It's so cute and tiny.
Yeah, they're amazing. I got one the other day, and it's literally the size of a pack of cards, and you just think,
no way.
Anything in other than cards, but there's like proper components. It's amazing. I mean, initially,
so cool.
This is just the gimmick, but it's not. Like their game's really good too. So yeah, I love what those guys do, and it's just such a cool franchise. Like it's going to be Tiny Epic everything by the end of it, isn't it? It's just gonna be cool. Like, anyone who's like a complete obsession, like they have to collect everything, is going to be broke by the end of it.
Yeah.
So I know you were playing Pendulum. I saw you post about that recently. I'm keen to have a chat about that because that seems to have polarized the gaming community. But you like the game, right? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't know. Like when I saw people start posting about it, a lot of people were saying how it is chaotic, it's insane, like they don't feel like they can keep track of what other people are doing, and they don't, it's just insane, which a lot of real-time games kind of are that way. That's kind of the point, is to manage your time, and things can get a little crazy. But honestly, I didn't feel like it was as stressful or as insane as other real-time games I've played, like Fuse by Renegade Games. Have you played that one?
Yeah, that's correct.
Cooperative math real-time bomb diffusing. Like it is so stressful, and people are throwing dice back and grabbing dice, snatching what they need for their bombs, and it's insane. Like we love it, but we can only play a few times before we get really frustrated at each other and just have to stop.
Have you played Escape the Curse of the Temple?
We have the zombie version of that one. Yeah.
No, I assume that comes with a CD soundtrack as well.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I mean, that, talking about intense real-time game. I mean, I don't know the zombie one, but the regular one, it's just this like boom, 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 and it's just like bells and like drums crashing,
Yes.
and it's just mind-bogglingly stressful. And I played it a few times. I got through the end of it with one or two sort of harsh words between my wife and me as we put mistakes. And we looked at each other and we're like, we're never going to play this game ever again, are we? it's like, it's a really cool idea. It's a really cool mechanic. And maybe some people sort of really enjoy that sort of feeling of stress. But I mean, talk about real-time stress. That is real-time stress. Like the games we're talking about now, that is real-time stress. But I haven't felt like that at all in Pendulum. I assume you're the same. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just so weird where it's all come from. Like I've got a few sort of theories about why everyone seems to have a strong polarized opinion on any Stonemaier release. But what do you think? Where do you think it comes from?
Honestly, I don't know. A lot of people complain that Stonemaier games are overhyped, or that Jamie Stegmaier is pushing people to buy his games, which they don't appreciate. I'm nervous to talk about this because it's so like, people have such strong opinions. But for me, what I've seen from Jamie Stegmaier is he openly says, like, do your own research, read the reviews, watch the videos, find out everything you can about my game before you buy it, because you might not like it. And if you don't buy it from me, He says that over and over, and people still will just, the community gets really excited because he only releases, like one game a year. And I think they get really excited and the hype kind of builds itself. And then if people don't like the game, they get kind of upset about that.
Yeah, for sure. I can see Wingspan and the expansion behind you. I assume you're a fan. You like Wingspan?
We've got a bunch of our Stonemaier games. Yes, we do.
And Tapestry, I can see just in the corner there next to Pendulum.
Yeah, and we've got Between Two Castles right here. Scythe is way up here at the top. Here's the Scythe book right here. So.
Have you got Euphoria?
Yes, it's way up there. We have shelves on our ceiling.
You like it? I've heard great things.
Euphoria is the one Stonemaier game that I haven't been able to form a solid opinion on yet. Okay. He sent it to me to review, and I've played it, and I can't form a strong opinion. It's kind of one of those games that I'm like, that was a game. Like I don't really know how I feel about it yet.
I know what you mean. Yeah, there's some games that you don't quite get captured by them. But the thing that you said there is just a beautiful thing, and I want to pick up on it. Except this is another key thing about Pendulum, is that I'm assuming because of what you've said, you haven't released your review yet.
Of Euphoria? No, I haven't, because I haven't been able to figure out what to say yet.
Right, exactly. And the thing with Pendulum, and I guess Tapestry is where perhaps all started, was Jamie does this embargo, doesn't he, where he sends the game out to a few select reviewers. I think it was only 12 this time for Pendulum, and says, here's the game, you can have it for 6-7 weeks, but please don't release any of your content until this specific date, which is always at least a week and a half before pre-orders start. So people will absolutely get to see multiple reviews before they have to commit to deciding whether they want to buy it on launch day or not. But people go crazy about the fact that there's this embargo, thinking that he's holding back information and stopping people saying bad things. And it's just not true. Like there's no two ways about it. It's just not true. But people still went a little bit crazy about it when he did the same thing with Pendulum, even though everyone kind of got through that hoo-ha with Tapestry, which baffles me. But, and this is the question I want to ask you, even though the reviewers had a ton of time to play with the game, experience the game, try the game in different levels, this is Pendulum I'm talking about now, try out the advanced mats and cards and the advanced rules, and really get to know the game without any pressure of having to get that review out on time. Because this is why Jamie says he does it, is so that you're not, as a reviewer, under pressure to get your review out early, be the first with the content, and so therefore you do it rushed without having really experienced the game. That's why he does it, which I firmly believe is the truth. I still feel like there are a ton of reviews from reviewers who hadn't really experienced the game at multiple player counts or with the advanced variants, and in one very high profile case where they clearly hadn't even played with the timers, which is the whole point of the game. And it's like, it blows my mind. So the fact that you haven't released your thoughts on Euphoria yet because you're not quite sure yet, I applaud you, because I just think people put so much time and effort into games, and then people are just so willing and excited to go out to the market with polarizing opinions. It's either 10 out of 10, greatest game ever, or 1 out of 10, rubbish, absolute dross. And it's ridiculous. Some games are just all right. You know, they're just like Wingspan, for example. For me, I really love Wingspan, but in honesty, it's just an all right game. It's all right. You know, I wouldn't give it probably higher than a 7, but it wouldn't be lower than a 7. And 7 is still a good game, and I'll play it probably once a month till the day I die. But people have to say it's either 10 or 1, and I don't understand that. It drives me nuts, that kind of thing. So yeah, good on you for not releasing Euphoria until you're certain. Because I had a real passionate feeling about Pendulum. I didn't want to release my thoughts on Pendulum until I was absolutely certain, because I've got pro Stonemaier hype. I don't want to say this is brilliant when I'm not certain. And I also felt I really wanted to delve into the things that other people have criticized it. So we've kind of covered the chaotic nature, and it just absolutely isn't. Like, I don't understand where that came from. A little bit crazy, because it's just not a chaotic game. It looks chaotic when you watch other people play, but when you play it, it just isn't. For me, it was the opposite. I had quite a few times when I was sort of a little bit like impatient, waiting for the timers to turn because I was ready for my next go. Did you experience that?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, when we played our first 2-player game, we just did the turn by turn, you know, where you just no, actually, after we did the turn by turn, we were doing the real time, and if a timer hadn't run out, we'd be like, are you ready? Like, are we going to change anything? No? Okay. And we would just flip it, you know, because we just had so much extra time.
Yeah.
And in a lot of real-time games, you just don't have that time. Like Fuse, Kitchen Rush, it's just go, go, go from the time you start to the time you're done. It's just crazy, and it's fast. It can be stressful, but in Pendulum, like you said, you have those times where you've placed your workers, and you're just waiting, you know, and that gives you time to move your resources around if you need to, or to plan out where you're going to go next, to look over at your opponent and see like, oh, they have this many votes, maybe I should go get votes, or decide like, maybe I'm safe for this round, I don't need more votes. So you have a lot of time to just sit back and analyze where you're at and what you need to do, which is not common for a lot of real-time games.
Absolutely. And I think that hasn't really been commented on in many of the reviews I've seen. It's people just going, oh, this is a real-time game, maybe playing it once. First time, obviously, it feels a little bit more hectic because you're learning the game. The rules aren't sort of, you know, you're not a favour with them yet. And then going, yeah, it's a chaotic real-time game, 7 out of 10. It's just like, I just don't know how that is even close to doing the game justice. And it seems wrong. Like, if people want to do that on BGG because they're just a person playing a game, fine, but I think you're going to sort of try and consider yourself a reviewer or a blogger or whatever. You've got to give it a little bit more than that. Do you think that's fair? Because the argument here, I had this with Nick from Board Deck and Dice the other day. The argument there goes down the route of, well, what is expected? If you're a reviewer and you've been sent the game for free, what is expected of you? How much time should you be putting into that review? Because you've got to learn the game, play the game, write the review, post the review. You know, there's a lot of effort there behind just saying a few opinions. Like, what do you think of that?
So I actually do have some strong feelings about this. I feel like if you're going to call yourself a reviewer, and if you've reached out to companies and you've asked for their products for free so that you can, you know, review them and let people know what they're about, I feel like you should understand and be willing to take the time that is needed to read the rules and play the game with multiple player counts, multiple variants if you need to, so that you actually really understand it before you go and tell other people about it. I think to play a game once and then write your review about it is irresponsible, actually. I've talked to Jeremiah about that, and I actually made the mistake of doing that a while ago with a game that I reached out to a publisher and I asked for their game, and they sent it to me, and I played it one time and I didn't like it, and I wrote my review of it. I said it was fine but not great. I even said it was flawed, and then I decided to try it out again because they reached out to me and they said, okay, what can I do to make it better? I was like, I better play it again. So I did, and I had misread the rules.
Oh, wow.
And I had to go back and I had to do a re-review and I had to apologize. And, you know, so since then, I have made it a point to play a game with multiple player counts, old and new players, to try to do everything I can to really understand a game before I go out there and put my thoughts where people can read them, because I want them to read things that are accurate about the game.
Well, good on you, because I just think so many people are not doing what you're clearly doing, and to have the courage and the bravery to go back and correct your initial feelings for something that you've realized was wrong based on a mechanical rule error. Again, good on you for doing that, because you see it so often. I mean, a pretty high profile YouTube site reviewed Wingspan recently and slated it and got a pretty big rule wrong, which to me suggests that if that's the case, you probably haven't played the game very often. It's totally fine if you get rules wrong. I'm not like one of those people who, when you see rules wrong in playthroughs, they'll be like, at minute 12:42, you placed the meeple there and you can't. Like, couldn't care less. But if you're going to form an opinion of something, you clearly can't be getting big, obvious rules wrong, because it suggests you haven't played the game very often. And if you haven't played the game very often, like you just quite rightly said, how can you have an opinion of it? And it feels like it's just become very fashionable to come out and say something's either brilliant or terrible. No one ever comes out with 6 or 7 out of 10s anymore, because no one wants to read those bland reviews. But so many games just sit in that 6 and 7 out of 10 field, right? That's just the reality of it. It's a crazy world we live in. So going back to Pendulum, my real sort of like thing that fascinates me about Pendulum, and I asked this to Travis, the designer, the other day when I had a chat with him. When you flip, well, when you can flip the purple timer that third and final time, that terminates any more timer flipping, right? So you can still do a few more actions, but no more timer flipping. You with me?
Yeah.
There's nothing in the rules, and I asked Travis this, and he confirmed this is the case. There's nothing in the rules that states if you're playing in a 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, whatever, if no one wants to flip that final purple, you can just keep going with the green and the black over and over, literally until everyone has maxed out all of their points. Have you realized that?
I think we did realize that, but we haven't done that.
Well, I don't think I ever would. I don't think anyone ever would. And what I said to Travis was, what is in the rules stopping that? And he said nothing. But he said there's always going to be one person that wants to flip the purple. Yeah. Like, there's a motivation for them to want to, which I agree with. But I just think if you play that game 100 million times, eventually there'll be one scenario where no player wants to flip it because they're just busy doing other stuff in the other areas. And I'm keen to try it again, maybe just with my wife in a 2-player, so there's no. To say to each other, let's just have a race in round 1. Who can max out their points first?
Awesome.
I mean, I don't because obviously there's certain things that you can only do over on the purple that might mean it's not possible. I don't know. I haven't overthought it. It's just it felt like a really interesting. Like, it's not a broken rule or anything. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's a really interesting thing in the game where ultimately, going back to the whole chaotic nature of it, you as the player dictate the time. You as the player dictate when you flip them. Like, the rules say when their timers run out, you can flip them if you choose. But it's if you choose. Like, it's totally when you want to. How are you playing it? Are you like watching and waiting and flipping them instantly, or kind of just hoping the other player doesn't do it? How's it work for you?
So we've had both. There have been times where Jeremiah and we both need, this timer to flip before this one. And so, like, the green one before the black one. So the black one runs out and both of us just kind of pretend we didn't see it. And then we'll flip the green one and then we'll flip the black one. But there have been other times where Jeremiah will have a worker and he's eyeing the black actions. And I'm watching that sand filter through the timer. And as soon as the last grain is out, I flip that so that he can't place his worker.
My wife did that to me the other day up on the greens, and I missed a massive thing. Like, it was about 5 points. I was so frustrated at myself. But I think it's like those kind of heightened emotions that make the game so good. And that's what the real time brings. It doesn't bring stress. It just makes the moves feel more satisfying when you get them right, because it's kind of, you have to be paying attention. The last thing on the real time is, if the timers, are flipping and, you're kind of messing around and people are thinking, is that a stressful thing? The interesting point for me is, in other real-time games, the timers basically, if you don't do something by the timer runs out, you're dead, or the game is over, or you have lost. Whereas in Pendulum, when the timer runs out, it's just the end of the round. That's all. It's just the end of the round, and you've got 4 rounds in total. And even in the 4th and final round, when the timer runs out, it's just the end of the game, and then you score. It's not like anyone can have anything catastrophic happen, and that simple point was never made in any of those 12 pre-release reviews, which I find fascinating. I don't know if I'm making this too much of a big thing in my head, because I'm obviously pro Stonemaier, but I don't know, why is there even a pro or anti Stonemaier thing? Isn't it just if it's a good or a bad game or not? Like, how has it become a thing? It's just so weird, don't you think?
I think it's super weird. I think I've had several interactions with Jamie, like through email, customer service, being a reviewer, and just casual interactions online too. And he's got great customer service. Every time that I like have a problem or have a question, he gets back to me within the same day, which is rare. You know? And he's always like very kind, very helpful, even with Pendulum. So they sent him out to their reviewers, and then I guess they had said that if they had any extra copies, like you could order one if you were a reviewer, and then if they had extras, they would give you a refund. And people got really upset about that, and so he issued a statement. He's like, if you are a reviewer and you're planning to release any content about this game, let us know and we'll just give you a refund now. And so he just gave everyone who wanted to do review stuff about Pendulum their money back. And I thought that was a huge move. You know, he's very compassionate toward gamers, toward reviewers. He values people's opinions. And so I don't know why people seem to be so anti-Stonemaier.
Yeah, it's weird. I think people think they're this huge corporation like Asmodee or something. But up until this, well, maybe last month, I think it was, he's just hired his 3rd member of staff, hasn't he? And in January, I think he hired his 2nd. So before January of this year, it's been him on his own, a 1-person company for 9 years. And then the second thing is, so now they're in their 10th year. They've only had 8 games in 10 years. They're not like pumping out games left, right, centre. They've done 8 games in 10 years with him as the only full-time member of staff for 9 of those years. It's like people think that he's this huge corporate machine, and he's just a guy working in games. It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So on Wingspan, like another interesting thing there, I think, was it just created a hoo-ha because it won so many awards, right? Let's be honest about it. It won a ton of awards, and I think that irked people, because if something wins something and you don't like it, you find it annoying because there's always a more worthy winner. And I kind of get that. I think it deserved to win a ton of awards, but it definitely didn't deserve, in my opinion, to win Best Card Game from the BGG Awards, because it's not a card game. What do you think? Did that bother you, or is it just semantics?
It didn't bother us at all. We really liked Wingspan. I think we played it like 30 times in the first few months that it came out. We just played it a lot. And so we were really happy to see all the awards that it won. We thought it was a really cool thing. We like Stonemaier Games, so we thought that was fun that they were winning so many awards. We thought it was cool that she was a first-time designer, and she raked in all these awesome awards, and it was about birds. Like, who wants to play a game about birds? But people did, so that was cool.
Absolutely, and that's the cool thing that Jamie brings, right? You know, with Elizabeth last time and Travis this time, both of them pretty much unheard of first-time designers, bring in with Wingspan's case a pretty sort of like potentially low interest themed game, and with Travis's case a quite controversial with the real-time element game. And Stonemaier just put it in front of a lot of people. You know, that's the advantage of working with him, I guess, is that you're going to just get your game in front of a bunch of people, rather than if those guys had tried to release the game themselves or, you know, pitch it to other publishers, you know, maybe it wouldn't have worked out. And then it's worked brilliantly for Elizabeth, because, you know, her second game, not with Stonemaier, is doing great guns. Have you tried that one yet? I don't know how to pronounce it, like Mariopolis or something. I'm not sure how to say it.
Mariposas, I think.
Right.
I've seen it, but I haven't tried it.
It looks beautiful, doesn't it? I really like the idea of the theme of the butterflies and everything. I'm keen to give that a go. So before I let you go, I'm keen just to kind of finish up with 2 very quick questions. Number one, and this is a slightly unfair question because I haven't prepped you on this, but what would you say right now are your like favorite games? You've got someone coming around and they're up for playing anything. What do you pull off your shelf? What is the thing that you really want to get to the table most at the moment?
at the moment, I actually made a post about this the other day. I would love to play Everdell. I think it is just super beautiful. It's fun. It's like really tight gameplay with great strategy, and you're just building like a little town of animals, which is awesome. But my husband doesn't like Everdell.
Oh, really?
He won't play it with me unless I play a game that I don't like with him first. So I really want to play Everdell. We haven't played it in 6 months. I've just really been feeling that. So if somebody came over and was like, "Hey, I'll play anything with you," Everdell would be on the table in a second.
What games does he want to get to the table that you don't enjoy?
Orleans.
Uh-huh.
I just don't like Orleans. I don't like filling my bag up with all this stuff and then reaching in and pulling out useless things. You know, I feel like that's how Orleans goes for me. We actually have a shelf in our room that has, he doesn't know this, but it's all the games that I couldn't care less about. And it's some of his favorite ones are in that cube.
You just organized them into like a corner where you never see it and he forgets about them.
Exactly, so that when I look at our games,
Brilliant.
I can just skip that section and not look at it.
That's such a good idea. Oh, that's a shame he doesn't enjoy Everdell. I think it's such a good game. My wife and I, that's probably the game that her and I play the most, I think. It's just such a fun, satisfying game. But we don't ever play with any of the expansions, largely because I haven't bought any yet, because I just think the base game is good enough. Do you own any of the expansions?
Yeah, we own all of the expansions, actually.
If you could play Everdell tonight, would you play with any of them? If so, which would you use?
Yes. So I really like the Pearlbrook expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like the events that you can get in the base game are kind of meh. Like I could spend a worker, but it's only 3 points, you know? But in Pearlbrook, you can get pearls and spend resources, and it's a lot of work, but you can get like 25 points from getting one of those things.
Wow.
It just it just levels it out a lot. So I really like that. I also really like Spirecrest because you can send your little animals on this trail, and you can find like a tree that will give you 6 berries every time you go there, or a goat that you can ride around. You know, it's just fun and brings in some new things that are really cool.
That sounds good. I've watched videos of all of them. They all look brilliant. It's just the thing that gets me is every time I sort of get close to adding one to my cart, because they're the cost of a whole new game, I always just think, do I want to make Everdell a little bit better, or do I want to try something I haven't tried yet? And I just love trying the new, which is like a whole new debate we won't get into now, but that's the reason why I haven't quite done it yet. And last question, what's the thing that you've got your eye on at the moment that's not out yet? What's the thing coming soon on Kickstarter or on pre-order or maybe out later in the year that you're most excited about?
Oh boy. Oh, there's so many. We have a list of all the games we've got coming. Well, obviously, one of the big ones that's coming to Kickstarter next week, I think, is the Dinosaur World from Pandasaurus Games. And we have Dinosaur Island, and it's one of our favorite games. So we're super excited for that one. And they have their Roaring Right coming too. Smaller games that people might not know about, there's actually one called Queen Bee from Elixir Games. And it's kind of like Memoir 44, but like with bees.
Wow.
I don't know. We got to play it last year when he sent it to us to review, and it was just super fun. It's just little bees taking over each other's hives, and it's player elimination, but like when your bees get eliminated or your queen gets killed, your bees don't just like leave. You join up with whoever vanquished you, and then the two of you go after everybody else. And it's just fun. I just like it. So I'm excited for that one.
That sounds awesome. I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to check that out. Have you posted on that one yet?
Yeah, it was a while ago. But
I have to go through your archives and dig it out. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely fascinating talking with you and getting to know a little bit about more of your opinions and just kind of delving into the behind the scenes of your Instagram. This feels like the DVD extras of your Instagram. It was a fascinating insight. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.